Hi there, good evening to you, everybody. Meteorologist Dante Jones here in the Dick Goddard Weather Center with our fireside chat, our evening weather discussion, if you will. It's hot and it's going to get hotter. Actually, it's not too bad. It's just pretty muggy out there. You'll certainly notice the humidity is cranked up, especially if you're watching a little further south and towards the west. And I'll show you the map in a second. Boy, too bad they're not watching us in Columbus. It is Columbus, I believe, is not only the hottest part of the state, but the hottest part of the region. Don't know if it's still that way, but earlier today they had a heat index, and it was just only about maybe a couple hours ago when we were on the air. Heat index of 115 degrees, sweltering in Columbus. I spent 17 years in Columbus, and so looked on Facebook. A lot of my friends in Columbus mentioning that it's hot, the power is out, their cars are stuck in their garages because the power is out and you can't, lift the garage. I guess maybe you could manually lift the garage, but I don't know. I don't have a garage, but they can't use the clicker to open the garage since the power is out. And it's just really hot and humid in Columbus. And then even the western portions and the southern portions of the state, period, just really hot. All right, we'll talk about the heat in a second. Let's sort of recap what happened yesterday. Really, it's been a phenomenal week and a half for severe weather across Ohio, because remember last Wednesday, southern portions of Ohio received the severe weather outbreak. There was a lot of tornadoes, confirmed tornadoes for that matter, as well as other types of damage. And then we have two derechos that crossed the state in the late night and overnight, and then earlier a mesoscale convective system in the southern portions of the state. And I say it like that because the Storm Prediction Center out in Norman, Oklahoma has now classified what came through our area, Northeast Ohio and Northwest Ohio for that matter, as derechos. Now the system that moved through yesterday afternoon into the evening in the southern portion of the state, that's not classified as a derecho just yet. Don't know if it will be, but it's not classified as that. But nonetheless, it did damage, and it also is a mesoscale convective system, as we call it. Big terminology for a cluster of thunderstorms of that size that move through an area, and it's long-lived. So it's on the mesoscale as opposed to what we call synoptic scale, which would be pressures and fronts and what have you that affect whole countries or a bigger size than just a little local area. And then global scale will be something like a hurricane or something. All right, so let's get to it. Let's sort of just talk about the damage that we've seen. Look at that big swath right there. This is what we call local storm reports, and this is something we pull up on the system to give us anybody that's reported these to the National Weather Service, and emergency management, what have you. This is what comes up on our system. So you see the general orientation coming in from Michigan right through Northwest Ohio, central and southern Ohio, and so forth. So that big swath of the derecho that came through yesterday showing us all of the damage, whether it's wind damage, flooding damage. Don't see any verified tornadoes on there just yet. I mean, we saw the tornado warning that was in Holmes County, and then there was one just to the south of that, and then I think there was one in Pike County earlier, what have you. So, I mean, there's been at least, I believe yesterday, 4 or 5 tornado warnings across the state, but the National Weather Service not yet hasn't verified any one of them. But there was straight line wind damage. There were straight line winds. And remember, yesterday, if you were with me and even on the air, I always say that we know that folks who are afraid of severe weather, folks who respect severe weather, tornado is always the word that you want to avoid. Tornado, tornado, tornado. But you have to remember that there are other things besides tornadoes. There are other severe weather besides tornadoes, especially when you get a derecho, a big wind storm, that straight line winds, a microburst, a downburst. And so everything is not a tornado. And so what happens is when we say, hey, the tornado threat is low, but there's a significant straight line wind threat, people tend to tune out. Like, oh, okay, tornadoes not, but this is what we're talking about. These storms, most of this, if not all of it, were straight line wind damage, and they do a lot more damage than a single tornado would. An EF0 with 65 miles an hour can only go in one path for a particular amount of time. These straight line winds moved over hundreds, if not thousands of miles. So they can cause a lot more damage. So you just really, I say all that, I guess sort of on my meteorological soapbox, if you will, but the whole point of us being here is to kind of keep you safe and let you know what's going on. And so we have to let you know, hey, these types of storms, it's a straight line wind risk at the greatest, and the tornado threat is smaller. So you gotta be aware, and even if you don't, if you want to tune out a little bit, at least respect it. At least say, okay, I'll be prepared with batteries. I'll kind of bring some things inside just because I don't want it to be moved around and be projectiles and what have you. And so I guess that's the soapbox there. Is just when you see 3 of these in one day in one state, that's significant. And then when you add in last Wednesday's storm system that wreaked havoc across the southern part of the state, so this whole season, so all of these is sort of, I guess, evidence to say, all right, but once there's the threat of severe weather, let's pay attention to it. And we certainly, I learned that, and a lot of viewers in the Miami Valley and the Dayton area learned that 3 years ago when we had the tornado outbreak on Memorial Day. And it moved right through the heart of the city itself. And there was loads of damage across the area. That's where you learn. And we don't, no one wants to learn the hard way to respect nature and respect weather when the meteorologists are saying, hey, heads up, this could be an issue. This could be a problem. It's one of those things like, okay, let's at least respect it. And sometimes you have to learn the hard way where a tornado barrels right down while you're watching your quote unquote favorite primetime show and yelling at the meteorologist to get off my TV screen. Meanwhile, there's a tornado or straight line wind threat that could have you not have a TV screen. So again, that's just the soapbox, and I say it just to say that, wow, it's been a season so far for Ohio. Wow, in just a week's time. Just after midnight last night, about 350,000 without power across the state, and that was just what I remembered, getting information in from the National Weather Service. These aren't necessarily quote unquote official numbers, if you will, although this next one is, but that one there was just sort of what I remembered before I went home at 1:30, 1:45 in the morning. 5,000 lightning strikes in 15 minutes across North Ohio around midnight last night, and then 1.7 million lightning strikes across Ohio in 24 hours. That is a lot of lightning. We had reports of loads of lightning lighting up the sky, and then other folks were saying this is the loudest thunder I have ever heard in my life. So it was just really, really a stormy night. All right, what's next? What's on the way? Well, heat's on the way. And the good news is that it's short-lived. It's only a couple of days and then it's out of here. But the bad news is that so many people that are still without power, they're going to have to deal with the heat without air conditioning. And so, the hope is maybe you go to a cooling shelter or maybe spend the day at a mall or what have you, but you can't spend the 24 hours there. You got to come back home at some point. It's still going to be hot and humid overnight as well. So we've got the heat advisories and excessive heat warnings that's going to go into effect tomorrow morning at 10 through 9 p.m. Then tonight at midnight through tomorrow at midnight, and air quality alerts. So you always think about the elderly, the very young, those with breathing problems. Just kind of stay indoors because the air is just going to be stagnant and fine particulates in there, and it's just not going to be healthy at all, especially with it being so hot. So it'll feel like it's anywhere from 100 and 107 degrees for the next couple of days before we get into Friday and it starts to cool off. So all right, here we are, 8:40 in the evening, and here are the current temperatures. 96 in Chicago. I think they get up to 100 at one point in time. These are just the air temperatures, not the humidity or the heat index. 87 in Columbus, 89 down in Cincy, 90 in Kansas City, 93 in Minneapolis. That's all moving east. That's moving our direction for the next couple of days. That dew point temperature still 82 in Columbus. So you get a temperature, an actual air temperature that's 89 in Columbus, and the dew point is 82. And the dew point, what that means is, that's the temperature that you must cool the air to reach full saturation, where the air is just fully saturated. Generally, you might see that, and so you might say, okay, what does it mean when it's fully saturated? So you might see that early in the morning when you see the fog. That means the air is fully saturated. So this time of year, fully saturation just means it is ridiculously muggy. I mean, it's literally air you can wear. The air is sitting on you. That's why you feel heavy, because the air is heavy when it has that much water vapor in it. So a cool, refreshing 66 is the dew point in Cleveland, and 77 down in the Cincinnati. So what does that mean for the temperature? Feels like it's 106 right now in Columbus. That's off their sultry 115 about 3 hours ago. 102 is what it feels like in Cincinnati, Chicago 101, 101 in St. Louis, 100 in Green Bay, 97 in Minneapolis, moving eastward, like I said. This is what Andre this evening was putting together, where 82 late this evening for Columbus. They haven't seen that since 1997, since July of 1997. That was, I got into Columbus in 1997. As a matter of fact, I was still in Akron in July. I didn't go into Columbus until August of 97. So it was, that was a hot one, a hot and a muggy one for sure. All right, currently the temperature is 88 in Findlay. Most of us across Northeast Ohio in the upper 70s to lower to mid 80s. Dew point temperature still pretty muggy. We're in the 70s for much. Right up along the lake, we're a little cooler, a little less muggy, but it's still certainly humid out there. Look at the heat index, 840, and it's 103 as far as the skin goes in the Findlay. And all of us here across Northeast Ohio, we're in the 80s. So it's a pretty nice evening to be out and about. If you're not watching me here live on Facebook, if you're out and about and don't even know that Dante's doing a Facebook Live, stuck at work, can't be out, enjoying, I'm sorry, did I get off into a tangent there that I'm at work? No, I enjoy it, I really do. And I enjoy your company here on the Facebook Lives. Here are the records, by the way, for tomorrow. 97 in Cleveland, set back in 1954. Akron and Canton, 95 in 1925. Mansfield, same thing, it was a hot year back in 1925, 94. Youngstown at 93 and 94. So it looks like we probably could tie or break some records on Wednesday because we are forecasting a high of 95 at least for Cleveland. Here's the heat index though for tomorrow, 105 to about 107. Kind of that's sort of the spread there that we're going with for tomorrow. Thursday about 100 for the heat index, and that one will probably be, if the guidance is right, that'll be just around the noon time before the front comes in and then starts to cool us off and we're a little less muggy. But if the front stalls a little bit, if it backs up, these fronts have some timings, they speed up, back up, slow down sometimes. But by late afternoon on Thursday, we could probably start to feel a little bit relief as this front comes through. But then Friday and Saturday, I mean, it feels a lot better. We're about 80 degrees. For Saturday, we're going to be even cooler, so that may not even be accurate for Saturday. Here's the 8-day forecast. Look how great it gets on Friday. 81 with sunshine. Over the weekend, mid-70s, sunny skies. I mean, again, if you were with me on Facebook Live yesterday, I was talking about Father's Day, going to be phenomenal. I joked with you all and said, well, maybe dads would rather do the grilling out instead of having you grill out for him, because no one touches his grill and no one grills like he does. And that's Lou. I joked around with Lou earlier during the newscast as well and said the same thing. And he said the same thing. He said, nope, I will do the grilling. But if you like the heat, if you like it cooler, that's coming your way for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, especially the weekend. But if you like it hotter, like I do, the heat's coming back next week, back into the 80s, overnight lows in the 70s. Going to be pretty dry, though. Thursday, I'm still keeping it 60%. Some models are kind of backing off of that threat, but other models are keeping the threat there, but just keeping it mainly confined maybe towards the eastern portions of the state, maybe over towards the Mahoning Valley. And then into Wednesday, we get another chance of showers and storms, but it looks like we're pretty dry Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday as well. So That's it here for our fireside chat. Just kind of give you an update of the storm damage that we saw last night. So we're still looking to see, especially in Holmes County, if that was a tornado that did the damage or straight line winds or a mixture of both, because it could be both, most definitely. It doesn't have to be one or the other. But the National Weather Service is going to be surveying that to see, as well as some other areas, suspect areas across the state. And then the heat is the story today and will be the story for the next couple of days before we get to late week and into the weekend. So that's the update here. I will see you, if you're watching us on TV, in an hour and 15 minutes. Can you believe that quickly? 10 o'clock newscast. All right, everybody have a great night. We'll see you then.